Good evening, everyone. Next Generation Weather Forecaster Joe Shock here. Sadly, we are taking a look at Irma, what is going to be a devastating blow for the remainder of her life. Here is the National Hurricane Center track. You can see here, 5 o'clock advisory. We're down, we're down from 185, but I think this may ramp up, and I'll show you why in just a second. 155-mile-an-hour hurricane moving still to the west at 12 miles an hour. You can see all the hurricane watches and warnings headlines here for the Bahamas and essentially most of the state of Florida at the moment. And I want to say that you can see here north of the hurricane watch, there are no watches yet because it's past 48 hours, but once we get within 48 hours, hurricane watch is likely to expand further than what you see here. Maybe even inland tropical storm headlines and warnings as we get into Georgia by early next week. But this has been a devastating storm, and a storm that will likely, I don't see how this storm name will be kept, but I very much believe that Irma will be retired and will no longer be used again in the Atlantic Basin. So here is the track. You can see the National Hurricane Center bringing it in, late tomorrow night, early Sunday morning. Here is the visible satellite imagery, and you can see here is Irma, and here is another problem to the southeast, which is Jose. We'll take a look at Jose also in just a second, but mainly this is all about Irma. You can see in the visible satellite, you can see very, very well-defined hurricane there. You can see the eye quite nicely. And there's Jose. You can see, again, Jose up to a major, and that also may become a Category 5 down the road as well. But overall, very, very two impressive hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin. Also, we do have Katia, but I'm not going to talk about Katia because that's going to go in to Mexico, but that will be a problem. And there are hurricane warnings for the coastline of Mexico. Thankfully, she's not going to come up. Here is the close-in view of Irma. Forgot I put this on, but here it is. Again, here's Cuba right here. You can see the eye getting very, very close to Cuba. We may even see a landfall here next couple hours. Got to watch this. This is a mesoscale event going on as this eye continues to move west, if not, you want to argue, almost west-southwest. And it's possible that we could see even a landfall in Cuba over the next couple hours, so we'll keep an eye on that. It's going to be interesting because if we actually get this thing to landfall over Cuba, this may weaken Irma a little bit further on. So that actually may be relatively good for Florida, but, not so good for the island of Cuba. No good's going to come out of this no matter what. That's the bottom line. But we'll watch that to see if it actually can make a landfall in Cuba. Let me go back and actually take a look here. Yeah, it looks like the National Hurricane Center, I can't tell if it's on the coast or just off the coast there, but they are very, very close to Cuba there in their forecast. Extremely close. It's hard to judge from this particular picture, but she's going to be very, very close to the coast of Cuba. Here is the infrared. You can see deep convection still developing and wrapping around the eye. This is intensification signature again coming to Cuba. This will knock this down, so we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens in through here next 12 to 18 hours or so. Here's the spaghetti plots. You can see very, very close, if not over northern Cuba, then coming up somewhere over the state of Florida. Here is the early reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds or gusts. You can see here tomorrow afternoon, really tomorrow morning into the Keys, and then afternoon into South Florida, then tomorrow evening almost into Central Florida, and then tomorrow night and into Sunday it will take over the remaining part of the state. But a track like this is this is an unprecedented track. Usually when you see hurricanes coming through here, you see them coming in from the west or the east or the other directions, but never a hurricane that can run the entire state like Irma is about to do. And again, here's the other shot. You can see Jose here. This is the image I used for my track, and oh good, the track worked pretty good today. I'm glad about that because I was having a problem with saving the images. But here's Irma now. You can see it's almost Category 5 hurricane. We'll see what happens with Cuba, but I think it has a shot to become a Category 5 again before landfalling late tomorrow night into Sunday morning. There's a shot I think it could become a Category 5 once again between Cuba and Florida. And then up the Florida peninsula. And then early next week, this will still be a problem in Georgia and South Carolina with some wind gusts and some heavy rain. So this will thankfully come to an end. Here's Jose, which is going to be another problem down the road. I think this is going to stay a major hurricane for at least over the next 5 to 7 days. Right now it's a Category 4, and again, this may become a Category 5 because there's nothing really slowing this down. Even though Irma just came through here, the waters are still plenty warm, so there's plenty of, instability and latent ocean heat content for Jose to develop, especially where he's going to end up here, where the water has not yet and will not be disturbed from Hurricane Irma. So Jose is the next major player on the coast. It's hard to say what will happen in about a week from now, but he will be off the East Coast. Whether or not he comes further west or east remains to be seen. And the European model, believe it or not, develops another hurricane, which will be Hurricane Lee, which in about a week from now will be in this area here in the Central Atlantic. So we have a very active next 10 to 20 days, at least for the tropics, and probably the remainder of September. The remainder of September, I guess that would be about 20 days or so. I think the Atlantic Basin remains active. So again, the peak of the season, living up to its name. All in Florida who watch this, be safe and take evacuation orders, hurricane warnings seriously. That's it for now, and thank you for watching.